Okay, so I believe we are ready to go here. So welcome. Once again, my name is Natalie Brown. I'm a holistic nutritionist and lifestyle coach. This is Meal Prep for a Busy Lifestyle. It will teach you everything you need to know about how to fit meal prepping into whatever lifestyle you have currently, okay? So by the end of this workshop, you should be able to create healthier habits with meal planning and prep and have the confidence to maintain it with ease. This is not a nutrition workshop like they have been in the past. I will not be giving you tips on what food is the best food to include in your meal plan. Rather, excuse me, I will be giving you tools that will enable you to fit meal planning, grocery shopping, and meal prep into your busy lifestyle. I will also give you tips, it's just a little extra that I include in here for all those moms, on how to get those picky eaters to eat healthier food. Okay? So let's just jump right into it. This is actually my Synergy meal plan template, which all of you will get for as soon as this webinar or masterclass is over. And Benjamin Franklin once said, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. So this is with everything. Business planning, if you fail to plan or create a business plan, then sooner or later, more than likely, the business will fail. If you, say for instance, fail to plan for a trip or plan for some kind of event, then more than likely you're going to either forget something and it's not going to be as successful as it would have been if you had created a plan. So it's always good to have a plan when you're doing anything. You are more likely to be successful if you have a plan. And with that, meal planning is one of the most important steps to being successful in meal prep, but this step is often overlooked. So what I recommend and what I've seen to be the most successful is every single week, I recommend that you grocery shop, and there needs to be a plan for next week's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Okay, so this needs to happen every single week so that you can have a plan every single week. Because if you, let's say that you decide to plan out a whole month, you're more likely to fall off by, I don't know, a week and a half, versus if you plan out just a week, you're able to set goals every single week and make new plans and talk with yourself about how last week went, what you were unsuccessful with, and be able to correct that for your next week's meal plan. Okay, there are a couple of reasons why planning out every single week or planning out in general is a good way to go. So it saves you money at the grocery store. If you have a list in front of you based on your meal plan, you're less likely to buy a bunch of junk. And you won't buy food that'll go to waste. You'll buy exactly what you need, and you'll be able to use all of your food by the end of the week. It keeps you accountable throughout the week too, having this plan written out and on your in your kitchen somewhere, wherever you do your cooking and your planning. You'll have this out and you'll be able to look at it throughout the week and say, okay, Wednesday morning, I'm going to make this breakfast. I have this available for lunch, and I need to make this for dinner. I need to set out this food for dinner. It'll keep you accountable, something to be able to look at. Also, I recommend writing down weekly goals for nutrition. Say drinking 2 liters of water is a really good example. That's what I often put down. Or make sure I take my vitamins, or make sure to get my cruciferous veggies in this every single day this week. Whatever goals that you would like to set for yourself, that's where you're going to write those in. And also your snacks. If for some reason you do get hungry throughout the day, I always like to have a just in case snacks area so that you know exactly what you're going to be grabbing if you need more food. You're less likely to eat out when you already have a plan to cook meals. One, you don't want to waste money. Two, you don't want to waste your food. Okay, if you don't cook the food that you bought, then it's going to go bad, and that just wastes food and money. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. So meal planning should fit into your lifestyle. Okay, so everybody has a different lifestyle. Some people have children, some don't. Some are divorced, some are single parents, some work out every day, some don't, some have a full-time job, some part-time. Everybody's lifestyle is different. So you should be able to, you have to consider everything that's going on in your life to be able to create a meal planning system that works for you. Okay, so everybody's meal planning is going to be different. Now, there are 3 things that you should think about when you're creating a meal plan. Okay, your schedule, of course, your mindset and motivation. I'll go over that in a second, and then your budget. So let's go over schedule. When you are thinking about meal plan, you obviously need to think about what your schedule allows you to do. Now, you can't just look at your schedule and say, oh man, I'm totally jam-packed. I won't be able to fit in cooking healthy meals, so I'm just going to have to eat out this week. No, you need to look at your schedule and see where you are able to adjust your schedule so that you can fit it in. So can you watch less TV that week? Can you, is there something on your list that you're doing that you could probably not do so that you can fit in your meal planning? Okay, so where in your schedule do you have time to grocery shop and meal prep / cook meals? So just an example, more time in the morning before you go to work, so you could just prep breakfast, but no time at lunch. So lunch absolutely needs to be prepped ahead of time. But you know also that you get home pretty early, around 6, so you can cook something super quick, 20 to 30 minute healthy meal for your family every night. So that doesn't need to be prepped. These are the things that you need to think about. If you have time in the morning, no need to prep the breakfast. If you have no time at lunch, prep the lunch. And then if you do have time at night, then try to create a fresh but easy dinner every single night. Okay, so you're trying to make it as easy for yourself as possible. Okay, so what do I mean by mindset or motivation? First thing you need to do is be honest. Okay, be honest with yourself. In the previous example that I gave you, you have time at night after you get home from work to cook a meal. But realistically, if you have a job that just drains you mentally, once you get home, the last thing you want to do is cook a meal, right? There are some people like that where they just get home and they're just wasted. All they want to do is sit on the couch and do nothing, or heat them something super quick. So that's another thing that you need to consider. So your schedule allows you to be able to cook meals, but your mindset or your motivation at the time that you have open slots in your schedule does not. Okay, so maybe instead of prepping just lunch, you might want to prep, or at least prep some of the ingredients for your dinner as well, so that you spend no time. Once you get home, you don't have to think about it, you just assemble it and feed your family. Okay, so that's another thing that you need to think about. So this is an example. You feel energized in the morning to prepare breakfast every day, but by the time you get home, your brain is completely drained, which usually leads you to not wanting to cook anything. Therefore, ordering out is what usually happens. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So think about where your mindset is going to be in conjunction with your schedule. Okay, finally, we're going to look at the budget. Okay, if you're trying to stick with the budget, there are a few things that you can do when you're creating your meal plan. Okay, so make sure you choose in-season produce for your meals. So I will also be sending everybody peak in-season produce cheat sheets for every single month, so that once you get to that month, you'll be able to add that produce to your meal plans. That will save you so much money if you purchase in-season produce. Plus, the produce itself has been known to be healthier if you consume it at its peak in season, once it's in season. Okay, so also, the more you choose whole food recipes, the cheaper it'll be. So if the more you have to buy packaged items or canned items, the more expensive it's going to be. Okay. Also, what I have found to be the most expensive is meat. So I would recommend actually having meat maybe once or twice a week instead of every single day. That'll also save you a lot of money. There are also great little sneaky tips that you can do. So Sprouts is the grocery store that I have near my house, and I can go on to Sprouts delivery and build a cart, and I can see before I'm not actually going to get a delivery service, but I can see in the cart how much my grocery bill is going to be before I even go to the store. So obviously the delivery service is an option, but you have that option to look at what you have on your meal plan so that you can, before you even go to the store, you can adjust it accordingly to fit your budget. Okay. So there are two ways to think about meal prepping. So you have bulk, which is a pretty common way for those that are super busy. Prepare ingredients in bulk and evenly distribute them into containers. So for instance, you make a bunch of roasted sweet potato, a bunch of roasted broccoli, a big bulk of brown rice, and maybe something else, and maybe a dressing, and then just add some raw greens in there as well. So you just have easy peasy bulk items, and then you evenly distribute them into your containers. Another way is to do recipes for your meals. Okay, so you just kind of look through wherever you want to get your recipes, your cookbook or your Pinterest or wherever, and then you just write those recipes down and cook those recipes when it comes down to time to it. Okay, so let's look at the benefits and the pros and cons of each one. Okay, so you have bulk cooking. The pro of bulk cooking is it will save you a bunch of time, and it's great for those that are trying to stick to a budget. It's great for people that are in a household of 2 or less, just because you'll be able to know exactly how far the food is going to go. Cons, my personal opinion is you'll have to eat the same meals every day. Not a huge fan of eating the same meals. And as a nutritionist, I highly recommend getting a variety of different foods every single day. So it does limit you when you're looking at the nutrition aspect of it. Now with recipes are great for families. When you look at the recipes, you'll see at the very top of the recipe how many servings it has. So say you have a serving, you have a family of 5, you'll pick a recipe that has a serving of 5, and then you evenly distribute the recipe to each person in the family, and you know everybody got the recommended amount of serving. So you know exactly how much the recipe is going to feed each person. Also, it's different meals every day, which, like I said, is a lot healthier, getting different ingredients every single day. Eat the rainbow, like I've said in the past. Also, you can choose to make a recipe that has more servings than feed your family, so that you can have leftovers from that dinner that can be your lunch. Like one of the best recipes that I feel is really good leftover is chili. Also spaghetti is really good leftover. So you just make extra servings of that recipe, or you can just pick recipes that have a bigger serving and then just eat it for the meal next day. It's like 2 for 1. And make sure you put that on your meal plan too. So don't put a completely different recipe on that next day's lunch if you know that you're going to have leftovers from that dinner. So cons for daily recipes, it does take more time to prepare because you're probably going to have more ingredients, and also more ingredients equals more money. So that's another thing that you have to think about. So what I have seen the most success with is to bulk prep breakfast and lunch, and then do daily recipes for dinner. It gives you the best of both worlds. You don't have to think about breakfast or lunch throughout the week because you know it's already done, but then you can get the rest of what you didn't get nutritionally wise in different recipes throughout the week that you make every single night. Okay. Next. Oops. Okay, so adding to your meal plan. So recipes, you can feed one person for multiple meals or multiple people in one meal. So that chili recipe that I gave you as an example was 5 servings. So you could feed someone lunch for the whole week, right? Or you could feed a family of 5 for a weeknight dinner. So depending on the person, you could use the recipes as you see 5 servings, so you could feed yourself chili for lunch every single day, Monday through Friday, the days that you have to go to work. Or you could feed a family of 5 that could be a weeknight dinner for a family of 5. Okay. Another option, like I said, you can use the leftovers from dinner as next day's lunch. So, but also make sure you write that down on your plan so that you don't buy more food than you actually need. Okay. So for bulk, what you're going to do is you're not going to write down the recipe. You're going to write down exactly what ingredients you will have in those meals and how much. So for instance, if you decide that you're going to do for your lunch bulk meal prep, you want sweet potatoes, broccoli, brown rice, and tahini sauce, you're going to write down half a cup of sweet potato, half a cup of broccoli, half a cup of brown rice, or whatever the amount you want for every single day that you're going to have that meal, so that you know exactly how much to add to your grocery list, which is the next step. Okay. And like I said, add a leftover day. Oh, I haven't said this yet. So leftover day is what I highly recommend because there are things that happen. Life happens all the time. Maybe one day of the week, you're just not able to get home and make that dinner. Say you had a family emergency or unexpected thing happened at work, you had to stay later. I would recommend having a leftover day, probably Saturday before you go grocery shopping, to eat the leftover food that you had throughout that week. Okay, so that's a huge recommendation for you. Plus, if you messed up your meal planning and you find that you do have extra food, say extra produce in your cabinet or your refrigerator, this would be the day that you would create a meal for that day so that you can make sure that all of the food gets used. That's the goal at the end of the week, is that everything in your meal plan and grocery list has been consumed. You don't want any food to be wasted. You don't want your money to be wasted. Okay, so that's your goal throughout the week. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick example of a meal plan for a family of 5. This is an actual client of mine, or was an actual client of mine. As you can see, we decided that she has a little bit to no time in the morning to prep, so she's going to prep her breakfast the night before, and she's also going to prep her lunches on Sunday, so she'll have that available. But she gets off pretty early in the evening, so she's going to cook a dinner for the whole family in the evening. So we also had her prep the green smoothie bags. So you just put everything you need in a bag in the freezer and then just grab it, make a smoothie, grab your breakfast, grab your lunch, and then you're off to work. So really, really easy meal plan here. Okay. And then this is bulk cooking for lunch, and then recipes for dinner. Okay, and a very, very simple recipes for breakfast, as you can see. So over here, you have the simple breakfast overnight oats and a simple smoothie. Okay, so that's just an example of what a meal plan could look like. Now, this is a different template that I use for my clients, but you could do it's the same thing that you could put on your template that I'm going to be sending you. Okay, so after you plan your meals for the week, you're going to create a list based on that meal plan. Okay, so here's how you add recipe items to the grocery list. So you're going to go recipe by recipe and add each ingredient to your list. I don't care if you have the recipe, you have the ingredient, you know in your head that you have that ingredient in your cabinet, put it down anyways. Okay. Check the servings to ensure that you're feeding everybody. So if you have a family of 5 and you're wanting to use this recipe to feed everybody, make sure that you have the right amount in servings. You can use a recipe that has a single only creates 1 serving, but you have to multiply it by 5. Okay, so just consider those when you're adding all of this, these recipes to your grocery list. And then, like I said before, don't forget to um, make those extras for lunch the next day. Okay. Another thing that you need to keep an eye out for is sometimes in the recipes they call for half a cup or half of something. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down, it's kind of like a tally as you go through these recipes. So half a red onion from one recipe plus half of a red onion from another recipe equals 1 red onion, instead of putting down 2 red onions. Then you're going to be left over with a red onion by the end of the week. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so like I said, by the end of the week, you want no extra food. You want to use all of your food. No wasted food, no wasted money. Okay, so now we're going to look at adding bulk items to your grocery list. Okay, so after deciding what foods you want for each meal, you're going to determine how much of one ingredient to get. Usually a good rule of thumb is half cup per ingredient. Should be added to your container. Now, obviously, I'm 150-pound woman who usually eats about half a cup per ingredient, but if you're a guy who eats much more calories than I do, then it might be 3/4 cup, it might be a cup per ingredient. Just I would play it by ear the first couple of weeks to decide if you were able to eat enough per meal, and then over time you'll be able to figure out, okay, I need to eat this much. So make sure to keep note of that as you go through the weeks. Okay. And then once you actually figure out the exact ingredients that you're going to have per meal, you need to add all of that up and combine it so that you know exactly what you're going to get at the store. Okay. So like I used in my previous example, we have half a cup of sweet potato, half a cup of broccoli, half a cup of brown rice, half a cup of black beans per container. And I multiplied that by 5 meals, which is Monday through Friday for work. So 2.5 cups of each ingredient. Okay. So when you go to the store, from my experience, this is usually how it breaks down. Okay. So 1 large sweet potato usually comes out to 2 cups. 1 large head of broccoli, usually about a cup. And then 1 cup of dry brown rice is 2 cups. And then 1 15-ounce can of black beans usually comes out to about a cup and a half. So for 5 meals, what I'm going to write on my grocery list is 1 large and 1 small sweet potato, 3 heads of broccoli, a cup and a half of dry brown rice. So when you cook a cup and a half of dry brown rice, that equals 3 cups of brown rice. And I always like to add a little bit of extra brown rice to my containers. Everybody's different. That's up to you. And then 2 cans of black beans for this. And that's just for lunch. You have to do that if you're deciding to do bulk cooking for every single meal, then you're going to have to do that for the rest of the meals. Okay? Okay, and this is what my grocery list looks like. This is my template. So, like I said, you're going to write it down. And don't forget to any items you need for your prep, and write down everything, even if you already have it. Okay, so I've grouped this together into 6 categories. So you have your produce, your dry goods, your cold case, which is your refrigerated items, your bulk items, which is when you go into the store, usually health food stores like Whole Foods or Sprouts. They have big barrels where you can buy your dry goods, like your flours and your brown rice, or your rice and your beans and nuts, all that stuff, that is what your bulk is. Then your herbs and spices. And then your meat and miscellaneous, you can put all your personal items here. So your shampoo and conditioner, deodorant, whatever you need to get from the store that's not food. I put that there as well as the meat, okay? The reason why I bulked these together is you will generally find these items in the same area of the store, okay? So all in one shoot, you'll be able to get all the produce that you need, not having to bounce all over the store to go from one end to the store to another. You'll be able to get everything you need from this section, get everything you need from the aisles, get everything you need from the refrigerator section, et cetera, okay? So this saves you a lot of time and sanity. I don't know about you, but even though I love cooking, I hate grocery shopping. So the least amount of time as possible I can spend in the grocery store, the better, okay? Now, one of the things you absolutely need to do every single time before you go grocery shopping, once you created this list, you need to grocery shop in your own kitchen, okay? So go through the entire list and double check, triple check to make sure that you do not have this item. Or if you do have this item, then cross it off, okay? Just cross it off like you're already at the grocery store, and make sure when you're grocery shopping to cross off the items as you go so that you can save a lot of time making sure that you have gotten everything you need on your list, okay? So once you're at the grocery store, here's some tips on how to be the most successful at the grocery store, okay, to stick with your meal plan. One, stick with your list, okay? You know, once you have created this grocery list, that this is going to fulfill you and your family for the entire week, okay? That's plenty of food, so stick with your list. You don't need junk food, you don't need snack food, you don't need all the extras, okay? What you put on your meal plan is going to feed the entire family for the week, so trust that and stick with your list, okay? And don't shop hungry because you're more likely to buy junk food out of just pure hunger. You're less likely to stick with the plan, okay? Also, just for our planet and your time, I would recommend bringing your own storage bags. These are super, super convenient. They're mesh bags that you can buy on Amazon for about $10, probably less, and you can put your produce in them. Reduce the plastic use that actually seeps into your produce, so try not to use the plastic as much as you can. Plus, it's a pain in the butt when you get home having to take all the produce out of the plastic and storing it. And if you don't have containers at home, storing these items in the plastic is just terrible, and in my opinion, very, very annoying, okay? Excuse me. So for those of you that are sticking with the budget, like I said, stick with the whole foods to save money. When you get into the packaged items like the canned, the preserved items in plastic, they'll be more expensive. The junk food is more expensive. And also make sure you're choosing in-season produce. It saves you a bunch of money. And then stay away from that so-called healthy junk food, okay? Refer to my previous webinar where I taught you everything you need to know about the supposed healthy claims out there that the food industry is throwing at you, okay? So stick with whole foods if you really, really want to save money. Okay, so you went grocery shopping, you're at home. So how do you store the food to make it last through the whole week? Okay, so leafy greens, broccoli, and herbs, you store them exactly like you would flowers. It's pretty awesome, actually. You cut them off, the ends. You cut the ends off, like right here, and then you also cut off the ends for broccoli, and you put it in water. So it's just like a flower. It'll stay perky, and it should last you through the whole week if you preserve it like that. So I'm talking your herbs like your cilantro and your parsley, and also your kale, chard, your broccoli, all of that stuff you should do just like that, okay? And you can see here, she took her celery and she put it in water. So that's a really, really great idea. You can also do that with carrots. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut them up into pieces, You're going to cut off the ends of the carrots and you're going to store them either in water in a jar, or water in a bag, a big gallon-sized Ziploc bag. Okay. So berries, store them as they are. They usually come in a very awesome plastic ventilated container. So store them as you are. As soon as you rinse them, they start to immediately ripen. So they'll go bad. So don't rinse them until you're just about to eat them. Okay. So what I would recommend, depending on when you're actually going to be eating the avocado, make sure you're paying attention on when throughout the week you're going to be eating the avocado. If it's right away, then get a ripe, ready avocado and just store it in your fridge. But if you're, say you're going to eat it Thursday or Friday, get a green avocado that's not ripe yet. And once you get home, you can store it in a paper bag. And once Thursday and Friday comes around, it'll be ripe and ready to go. I would check it every single day because some ripen faster than others. And once it's actually ripe, like it's soft to the touch, put it in the fridge and it'll stay ripe for a few days, okay? I just went over carrots, cut off the tops. You can wrap them in a damp towel or completely submerge them in cool water and they will last for a very, very long time. Okay, now I'm also going to be sending everybody a long list, because obviously this is not all the produce that you can get from the store. I'm going to send you a long list of how to properly store all of the foods that you get so that they'll last you longer. Okay, so I'll be sending you a long list after this is done, so keep an eye out for that. Oh, I just said that. Produce storage cheat sheet. Okay, so some tools to simplify your meal prep. Now, tools are really important if you want to save time and sanity. Okay, some people are not the best at cooking, but if you have these tools available, they will change your life. Okay, a food processor, a high power blender right here. So I probably use my blender every single day for various things: sauces, soups, salsas, smoothies, every day. I use it every single day. Now my food processor, I use it at least 2-3 times a week. Really, really great for pestos, pasta sauces, dressings, salsas. Man, this thing has saved my life and time. It also dices veggies, makes really, really awesome slaws in no time. So these two are worth the money and they'll save you, they'll pay for themselves in the time that you save. Okay. So this awesome little doodad is really, really neat. This little handle here flips over and you pull it like a lawnmower. It's a really convenient veggie dicer. There are so many like this on the market. So just get a convenient veggie dicer so that you don't have to dice your own veggies. It just takes so much time. That's probably the longest, that probably is the most time consuming thing that you have to do when you're meal prepping, is cutting vegetables. So if you can find a way to reduce the time cutting vegetables, you'll save a lot of time. So food processor, there's a bunch, like I said, of hand veggie dicers that you can use. Another thing that's going to save you a bunch of time is pots and pans of various sizes so that you can cook multiple things at once, okay? So you can cook brown rice and quinoa and roast your multiple veggies all at once instead of doing one thing at a time. That's going to take you forever. Also a good knife set. This will save you so much time, especially with veggies like your sweet potatoes and your squash and your potatoes. Those are really, really tough things to cut. And if you have a really good knife set, it'll make it super easy for you to just cut up your veggies really quick. Okay. Okay, tips for sticking with the meal plan. So like I said, check on your meal plan every single day so that you know exactly what's coming up. I would recommend hanging your meal plan on your fridge or wherever your family schedule area is, so that not only you but everybody in the family knows what meals are coming up and they won't be bugging you about what we're going to eat tonight, and they won't expect to eat out. They'll expect to be cooked a fresh, healthy meal. Okay, So this also, like I said, keeps you accountable and it gets you in the right mindset. If you check every single day, say in the morning before you go to work, you look at the dinner, you're like, okay, I'm going to cook this when I get home, just so that you're in your head, you already determined that you're going to cook that meal when you get home. It's amazing how effective it is when you get in the right mindset before you even start the activity. Okay. Also, setting up for the next meal. If you have some extra time in the morning, maybe you could cut up veggies for the upcoming meal and store them in containers. So all that you have to do is throw them in the pot when you get home. Or maybe you could store the ingredients on the counter right by the stove. So all you have to do is open them up, throw them in there, and you don't have to wander around when your brain is not functioning at a high level because you've been working all day. That you just have to read the recipe, throw the ingredients in there, and then call it a day. It's really, really quick. So set yourself up for success. Put everything on the counter. It doesn't matter what it is: salt, pepper, beans, your brown rice, maybe some sauces that you need to get. Maybe you need soy sauce for that day, so put out soy sauce. Maybe some sesame oil, stuff like that. Put it all on the counter so that you don't have to wander around all over the place trying to find every ingredient. It's already right there for you. Also, make your workspace easy to work in. Okay, this goes back to the very first workshop that I had where talks about starting out on a healthy lifestyle. You need to make your workspace easy to get around, right? Organize your kitchen and pantry so the ingredients are easy to get to. Organize similar things together. Put all the beans in one place. Put all the rice and the quinoa in one place. Put all of your cooking utensils, so your spoons and your knives and your pans and all that stuff need to be all in one area so that you can grab them quickly and you're not wandering around looking for things that are just thrown in your cabinet. Okay, make your kitchen make sense. Okay, have a cutting area to where you cut your produce there every single time. Set it up before you get home. Okay, if you make it easier for yourself, you are more likely to be successful and to stick with it. Okay, so real talk. What we went over is creating a meal plan, building a grocery list. We went over tips for the grocery store and how to store your produce to keep it fresher longer. We went over tips on sticking with your meal plan. And we also went over the best tools to have on hand to make meal prep easy and quick. So my question is for you is, what excuse do you have for me? The biggest excuse that I get is I don't have time. It's so hard for me to fit it in. Well, I'm just going to throw a little quote at you. Our life is a sum total of all the decisions we make every day, and those decisions are determined by our priorities. So let's talk about priorities for a second, shall we? So why don't we change your excuse of no time? Let's look at it a little differently, okay? Change your excuse to it's not a priority. So what do I mean by that? I don't plan my meals out because it is not a priority. I don't make time to meal prep because it is not a priority. You can use this phrase for any excuse that you have in the book, okay? I don't exercise because it is not a priority, okay? The reason why you are not sticking to the plan, the reason why you are not being successful, the reason why you are not working out, the reason why you are not eating healthy food and sticking with unhealthy fast food is because it is not a priority, okay? So what you need to ask yourself, is health a priority for you? You wouldn't be watching this video if it wasn't, okay? So what we need to think about is we need to find time to meal plan, grocery shop, store food, and meal prep, okay? You need to make it a priority. That's the only way you're going to be successful, okay? You can do it. Dun, dun, dun. You can do it. You just need to make it a priority. Stop giving me the excuses that you cannot do it. You don't have the time. You don't have the energy. No, it's not a priority. So change it every time you feel an excuse coming up. I want you to think about it that way. I want you to think, okay, instead of saying, I don't have time to meal prep, say, I don't meal prep because it's not a priority. It makes you think about it a little differently. Okay. So now, my little extra here, let's go over how to deal with picky eaters, because us moms, that's probably the hardest thing that we have to deal with when trying to eat healthier, is getting the kiddos and the other people in the house to eat healthy as well. Because I've seen the most common thing for moms to do is to make 2 separate meals for those people that don't want to eat that healthy food. And that's exhausting, and it's draining, it's frustrating. And then it makes you just not want to cook that healthy meals and just make everybody else happy, because it's hard to deal with. Okay. So I have some tips, some really, really awesome things that you could be doing. At least try to see if it helps get those picky eaters to start eating your healthy food. Okay. So set meals and snack times. Okay. So establishing regular times for meals and snack addresses behavior change for children. Okay. Young kids are very smart. We know this. If they skip dinner and ask for a snack an hour later, healthy or not, and are given one time and time again, they will likely continue with this pattern. Okay. The goal is to establish the expectations that meals and snacks happen around a certain time, and that's when the food is offered. This allows children to actually be hungry when it comes time to eat. Family meals seated at the kitchen table are most important. So be sure to incorporate family meals whenever possible. Okay. Pair up veggies with something they already love to eat. So really good examples are carrots and hummus, or maybe some ranch if you find some ranch with some really good ingredients, or make your own ranch. Another really good example is celery and peanut butter. So try to pair up something healthy with something that they are familiar with and know that they love. So avoid short order cooking. Okay. There is no reason to cook more than one meal for your family. I know that's hard for some moms to realize. Okay. You need to provide a variety of foods on the plate. Okay. And allow your kids to make choices about what's served. So it's okay to cook foods you know your kids like, but they should not have the final say on what the components are in the family meal. So instead of cooking 2 separate meals for your kids and yourself, make a variety of different foods for them to choose from on the plate. Okay, instead of making, say, a casserole, for instance, why don't you make a healthy, say, a pasta, and then you have broccoli on the plate, and then you have beans on the plate, and then you have carrots on the plate. Give them an opportunity to choose what to eat. So give them a bunch of options, okay? So expose your child to new food in different ways, okay? So if your food doesn't like a food one way, he or she may like it another way. So for example, your child may dislike steamed broccoli, but may love crunchy roasted broccoli, seasoned with maybe olive oil and spices. It's also best to rotate the types of food provided to help avoid monotony and food jags, okay? So when a child being stuck on one food item meal after meal, it could really, really cause them to dislike the food over time, okay? So don't just give up when your child says, oh, I don't like this, okay? Try to cook it in different ways. So for broccoli, for instance, broccoli is so healthy for you. You know this. I've told you the benefits of cruciferous vegetables. If they don't like it steamed, try it roasted. If they don't like it roasted, maybe put it in a casserole. where it's smothered in a really awesome sauce. If they don't like it that way, maybe you could try it in a broccoli pesto and put it over some pasta. Okay, there are a bunch of different ways to expose your child to a new food. So try as many ways as possible. Don't just give up, just try a different way the next time you cook it. Okay. Getting your kids involved in the process of cooking and choosing the food is a really, really great way to get them to appreciate the food and eat the food that's healthier. Okay, so children are shown to eat more when they have a hand in choosing or preparing it. So get creative and try maybe planting a garden at home. This will allow the kids to learn about the process from start to finish, and they may be more inclined to eat their creation. Okay, they actually take some pride in what they've created. So they can also get involved in the recipe development too. So another thing that I recommend is maybe each week choose one new food and have the kids come up with 3 different recipes to incorporate that item. And then you guys can all agree on that recipe. So, and throughout the week, you can get him excited about the recipe that he chose or she chose. Okay, they're more likely to be excited about eating that new food and giving it a try. Okay, another really popular one in my house personally is calling veggies by a different name. So my kids, I have 2 rambunctious boys, as you know, and they are pretty into superheroes right now. So all the veggies that they don't like, or even the veggies that they do like, I call them by superhero names. So for example, X-ray vision carrots, or super speedy spinach, green Hulk kale, or tiny tasty treetops for broccoli. So you can also relate to him to what they're passionate about. So if they're into sports, maybe fantasy or dancing, or if they like, I don't know, superheroes and wizards, maybe relate it to that. Okay. Don't give up. Like I said, if your son or daughter says no to quinoa and is never given quinoa again, they won't learn to develop the taste for it, which is why it's important to be persistent. Okay. And you can still make it fun. Use maybe a sticker chart or bite charts. So every time they try a new food, they get a sticker. Okay. And give a non-food related reward upon completion. Okay. And do your best to keep calm during the process. Okay. Eating new foods needs to be a fun, positive event. Okay. It should be enjoyable. And we want to keep it that way. If a child doesn't want to finish everything on his or her plate, that's okay. Children will learn to self-regulate hunger and fullness while exploring new foods. So you also have to reward the things that they are doing instead of concentrating on the things that they're not doing. Okay, so reward them eating just a little bit, reward them trying a new food, reward them eating most of their food if they didn't eat most of the food the night before. Okay, you got to make it a positive experience. Okay, so what about those adult picky eaters? So children are not the only picky eaters in the house. Okay, you can't expect your child to be open-minded to trying new foods if the adult or parent does not do the same. We as parents and leaders of the children need to set an example. Okay, now you can't expect your children to like every single fruit and veggie out there. Okay, even I don't like all the produce out there. Being a nutritionist, personally, I can't stand green beans. No matter how I cook them, I cannot stand it. It's just one of those things. Okay, there's going to be foods that they like and dislike, and their food aversions will change over time. So as long as they keep giving them a try and bring open-minded to trying new foods, then that's great. That's what you want. You want them to be open-minded, and you want them to give it a try every single time. Okay, now if you feel like your child is just not getting the nutrition needs that they need from the foods and she just keeps refusing to get them, then there are other ways to get around it. Obviously, supplementing is not the ideal way to get the full nutrition. Getting it from the food itself is the best way, But you can supplement by adding greens or green powders to a very sweet berry smoothie every day. My kids love their daily smoothie regimen. So that's a great way to add greens to their daily routine if they're not eating the full version. Okay, so here are some really good healthy recipes where you can hide healthy foods. Butternut squash mac and cheese is delicious. I would look that up if you can. It involves soaking cashews and roasting some butternut squash and making it into a sauce. You can also do, below that is a ground turkey veggie meatball. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually hide some, there's various recipes, but this probably has some spinach and some red bell pepper and maybe some other stuff in there to make it taste good. And then you can put something that they're familiar with, like I was talking to you about before, some spaghetti sauce on top of it to make it taste really good. Right next to that is broccoli and cheese tater tots. This is really, really popular in my house. And then also at top, get some sweet muffins, maybe with some applesauce and bananas and some hide some spinach or some carrots in there. And that makes a really, really good, healthy treat. Okay. Okay, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you are in the right mindset to be able to meal plan, grocery shop, store your food, and prep your meals every single week. Please message me if you have any questions. Also, like I said before, I'm going to be sending everybody a grocery list as well as my meal plan template, as well as the Peak Produce cheat sheets, so look out for that. Also, you're going to be getting your food storage cheat sheet as well. So look out for those 4 items in your email, and if you are not able to get those, then let me know. You can always email me at natalie@synergyfitlifestyle.com or give me a call, shoot me a text. I usually respond really quickly. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye, guys.